Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So I'm just doing this quick little video in regards to 5 reasons why I love the weather in Seattle. I did make a video previously on kind of my non-traditional way I kind of overcame sadness, the seasonal affectiveness disorder in Seattle. I know the first couple years when I moved to Seattle, it was really rough being here in the wintertime. But now I actually love the winter and I'm embracing it a lot more. And a lot of that has to do because of my growth in spirituality, my connection to Source, to God, and the evolvement of my soul. Because the reality is, our pagan ancestors understood this, that when you have rain and darkness and snow, that is the death. That's part of life. Everything is going to go through some form of death and rebirth process. And I'm noticing everybody is complaining about the weather here in Seattle, and so I'm here to defend the weather in Seattle. I never used to really so much be a person of the rain, but I'm going to give some reasons why. I think the weather in Seattle is great, and in addition to certain things like with climate change, a lot of people don't realize, especially if they've lived out here for the last 1 to 2, maybe 3 years, the weather in Seattle is absolutely amazing, and it's getting sunnier, it's getting drier, and all of this stuff is happening because of climate change. So it's actually becoming more temperate than it ever has been, and Seattle's always had a temperate climate. And the funny thing is, when people are chronically complaining about the weather in Seattle, it's like you have to pick your battles. What do you want? Most of the world lives in a climate of 4 seasons, with the exception of places like the Middle East and India and, at the polar ends of the world, like in the Yukon, where it's cold pretty much probably 80% year round. You kind of have to start looking at things from a bigger perspective. While we're getting some darkness at 4 o'clock and a little bit of rain, it's like it's snowing ice in Boston. Or in the summertime, it's cooking at 120 degrees in places like Vegas and Arizona. California is on fire every single year. It's like, people, pick your battles. We're coasting along at like 75, 80 degree temperature, which is hotter than San Francisco, and we don't get that crazy wind like San Francisco. And we're warmer than places like Vancouver. So guess what? You can actually go swimming in Lake Union and Lake Washington. It's not going to be like bath water, but you can still do it year round. So I'm noticing a lot of my friends and my clients are complaining about the weather. And the irony is, it's November 27th as I'm filming this video, and I'm looking out of my balcony. Obviously you can't see it with the camera facing inward, but it's sunny. What you see in this video is coming all from natural light. And so there's some clouds over West Seattle, but other than that, it's a clear blue sky. I'm noticing this trend between people who are lacking some form of fulfillment in their life, and they're linking that up with the weather, or the weather is affecting them. So as I explained in a different video, the weather does have an effect on your physiological state of your circadian rhythm, the sleep and awake cycle. Now, the thing is, a lot of people are really lonely, or there's some form of they're depressed. A lot of people that I know are sad because they don't have something like a partner or some form of love in their life. And they're really focusing on the weather being very depressive. Like, there's absolutely no beauty for them in terms of the trees being bare without leaves. But the reality is, if you start looking around in Seattle, there's still some leaves or trees that have leaves on them, and there's some trees that are blooming in the wintertime. So there's different forms of growth, and people are not really, like, I'm just looking out my balcony window and there's one tree that's still completely green, and it's November 27th. Like, this is extremely rare, and it has pretty much 70% of the leaves on its tree, or on its branches, I should say. So, I'm here to defend the weather in Seattle because honestly, it's really not that bad. And I think, like, when you start looking at things from a global perspective, there are places in the world that are a lot worse. And honestly, if you moved to those places, you probably would bitch and complain about those places as well. So a lot of the root of the problem is coming to you. And a lot of this is this lack of fulfillment, and the weather is affecting them, or people don't have enough going on in their lives that they're chronically just focusing on the weather. And I say this because I used to be like that as well. During stages of my life where I wasn't happy because I wasn't, succeeding as well in my career, or, certain things in my personal life, the weather did affect me more. It's because there was a lot of lack of contentment. And when you find some form of contentment in yourself, you are content and you embrace this seasonal change. And the reality is, right now, with it being the holiday season, which is a form of light and love that comes in through a time when we're losing the sunlight and darkness is rising upon us with the winter solstice coming up, this is the time to find a lot of peace, joy, and love in your life. And this is prepping you and your mindset to get ready for January and February, which are the two roughest months of the year, especially once the sun starts to transit into Capricorn, which is, can be challenging to some degree. So the irony is of me doing this video in Jupiter, me doing this video while the sun is in Sagittarius with Jupiter kind of being in Sagittarius, it's kind of funny because Sagittarius, the zodiac sign itself, is, it's living on the sunny side of the street, and it's the eternal optimist. I was in a relationship for almost 10 years with a Sagittarius. Trust me, I know, and a ton of my friends are Sagittarians, and they're always happy. So seriously, I hope this video inspires you to change your mindset, regardless of if you live in Seattle or in some other part of the country, to embrace the seasonal changes, because this is a part of life and this is part of nature and how God created this planet, if you believe in that. If you don't, then, that's okay. So the first thing that I love about Seattle is that it has 4 seasons, and 4 amazingly beautiful seasons that you can be outdoors year round. My birthday is February 7th, and there have been so many years where I've gone hiking on my birthday. Now, it might be 40 and cold, but sometimes it's been like 55 and partly sunny on my birthday. Like, how many places in the nation have that? Most of America is like buried under snow, and it's like -20. So Seattle has 4 very beautiful seasons, and the winters are not as bad as other parts. Obviously, the Southwest and certain parts of California have a little bit more of like an optimal winter because it might be 60s or maybe even 70s as the high, but you know what? You reverse that in the summertime, and they're staying indoors in the summertime because it's 110 to 20 degrees outside, and if you're not at the pool, you got to be inside in air conditioning. I've been to Arizona and Nevada for conferences, like in Las Vegas in the dead of summer at the middle and end of January, and it's like the wind blowing all of that heat would like melt my contacts. So anyways, once again, pick your battles. The other thing is, in Seattle, the nature is in bloom year round. So even in the winter time, you might have no leaves on the tree, but in like January and February, the camellias bloom, and there's different sort of holly berries that are blooming in the wintertime in November and December. So that's really amazing that nature is in bloom all year round, and the reason why it is because it's a temperate climate. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Ooh, I kind of mentioned this. So the third one is you can go outdoors year round. I mean, you can drive 2 hours to Stevens Pass, or even 45 minutes to an hour to Snoqualmie, and you can be skiing in the mountains. Like, nature is in your backyard in this city, and you can do these things in the wintertime. You kind of have to. So if you're looking to run a marathon in April, unless you're running on a treadmill during the winter months, like, you have to suck it up and go outside. But honestly, you can do things outside year round in this city, and you're not going to be, worried about getting frostbite, or you're not going to be boiling because it's hotter than hell outdoors as well. So anyways, and I want to talk about the 4th reason, which is the rain brings the sunshine. This is the thing, people. Like, when you're in places like the Southwest or California, it's like you kind of look at these people and it's like a lot of their brains are fried because it's like it's just sunny year round. They don't have any form of balance. It's the same as if you go probably to the polar ends where things are frozen all year round. There's a lack of balance. So Seattle has really good balance in its temperature and climate, but the rain brings the sunshine. I mean, you get rainbows through the integration of light and rain. So I have some pictures that I can kind of post in a link below that you can look at. They're absolutely stunning. And the rain is so spiritually symbolic in so many different theories and texts in terms of it being cleansing. So when a nice deep rain comes in, it's kind of washing everything out. And you can use that theory in your own life. Like when the rain is coming, you are somewhat cleansing and detoxing yourself. I remember in August in Seattle, you definitely get a few days that are a sign that fall is coming. And I remember after, I don't know, like 2 months of sun and kind of like go, 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 it was just cloudy and rainy. And it was almost like, oh, thank God. It was just kind of like pushing the brake on your car to really slow down and just kind of decompress and just reflect for a moment. So I thought that was really I think it's quite amazing when you start looking at the rain in that form of perspective. Like yesterday, it was pouring rain. I had to walk. I had like an 11.5-hour work day. I taught 8 fitness classes, running around town. I was soaked with my boots and my coat, but like honestly, it didn't bother me. It's because it's like my mindset is switched, and I have so many different things and goals in my life right now that it's like I don't have time to think and moan about the weather. It's like, it just is what it is. It's a form of acceptance. And the fifth reason is that with the temperate climate, you just have nature, the animals and the natural habitat is just flowing all year round. Like, the seals are always in the Puget Sound, and the crows are always flying outside. Yes, like I see bald eagles more in the fall and the winter time from my balcony. I don't really see them too much in the summertime. So there are seasonal shifts with nature and the migration pattern. But animals are always flowing about. You know, there's always sparrows running around. So it's not like we're in Alaska where it's like nature is just kind of done and gone. Like the bears are hibernating, everything is hibernating. You know, obviously once you get to more mountainous regions that happens. But I don't know, there's squirrels running around in the park across the street. And I think those are things to be really thankful and grateful for. And when you can start appreciating nature in its own way of its natural cycle, you can really start to embrace a lot of those lessons into your life. So I kind of think like people, if you're living in Seattle, you kind of have to suck it up, especially because the weather is changing and it's becoming so dry and hot, and a lot of people love the shifts that are happening with climate change, and you have to think about how selfish and egotistical that is. We are having this rise in narcissism in our lives anyways, and it's like, you know what? Life isn't sunny all year round. That's just a part of this. And if you think that life can always be, like a blue sky with green grass, it's like you're really set up for a lot of emotional disaster in your life, because that's not the reality. I mean, look at the peak of summer. Even in places like Seattle in July and August, the grass is brown. And it's brown because there is no balance. It's too much heat. Now, the thing is, when a seed is planted in the soil, it does need warmth in order for it to grow. So humans naturally gravitate and thrive better in warmer climates and conditions. Like, I still am to this day a beach person. I've always wanted to move to the beach. I love the ocean. I do love these more temperate climates or climate seaside areas like here in Washington State. But a lot of that is because like I just kind of wanted life to always be in flow and be in the sunny or be on the sunny side of the street. And that's like just not reality. So the more you embrace this kind of dreary climate, even in Scotland, I've been to Scotland and it's way sunnier here in Seattle than it is in Scotland, trust me. So anyways, I hope this video helps. You can check out my links below regarding other videos and blog posts about this topic. And please subscribe, help me build this channel, and see you guys soon. Bye.